Hello and welcome to Money Control. This is Shraddha Sharma and you're watching Editor's Take. In today's edition, we'll discuss the Personal Data Protection Bill that will be tabled in this winter session of the Lok Sabha. For more information on that, joining us is Network 18 Sunny Sen. Hi Sunny, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shraddha.
So first, help us understand what is the bill about?
So the bill is the first comprehensive bill on a policy on data protection and personal data protection of individuals and how that data will be stored, processed, what can companies do with that data, what can governments do with that data, what is critical data, the definition of data per se. There are multiple kinds of data. So there are critical data, non-critical data, sensitive data, non-sensitive data.
Right.
So, and all these data are of people like you and me, right? And there are children and there are women, and all those are there. So it's the first policy that India is coming out with, which will define this, which will put laws around it, and how and what companies can do with that data, and what governments also can do with that data, as in the state government and the central government.
Okay, since you said there are different types of data, who will be able to access what type of data?
Okay, let me start with who will not be able to access what type of data. So sensitive data, which is children's data and personal data dealing with gender, caste, sex, minority segments of society. Data around that, those data are sensitive data and people can't process that data, people can't use that data to derive information out of it, which can further lead to very niche segmented targeting. So that is not allowed. That's not allowed to be done by any company, any corporate, any individuals who are holding the data. So that cannot be done. Also personal data, which is financial data of some sorts, which are there with banks, those data cannot be housed outside the country. It has to be inside the country, and that's there. The third thing is that what governments can do with the data. So governments have somewhat like a blanket surveillance approach, if I might say so, with the data. So they can use personal data and they can direct investigative agencies of governments to use the personal data to do anything that they want to, put surveillance on people, and at least the bill allows that to happen. So that's not a good thing. So while on the data protection by what corporates can do, what individuals can do, what people can do, laws around that we have moved a step ahead, while on what governments can do, we have moved a step behind.
All right. So you said it's kind of a blanket surveillance that the government will be able to access almost all the data. Okay. In terms of national security, there's a lot of debate around it. Plus, how will it impact corporates if we had to talk about that?
So in national security, so data has always been this very integral part of how people function, right? And the government can use that to snoop on you, me, or anybody else that they want to. And you might have a very candid chat with somebody on WhatsApp or on phone and say that, hey, I don't like this politician, or I don't like the way this politician has made certain rules, or the way politician is talking. If I was a person, you can talk to your relatives and say that, I just want to bomb that person, And it might be a candid discussion with your brother or your sister or your father or your daughter. That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to do that. You don't want to bomb that person.
Right.
But if that data, the government can take that data and use it against you, while you didn't have any real intention, you were just kind of speaking candidly or very indifferently with your relative, but that government can use that data to kind of sue you, put you behind bars, have a kind of surveillance which is perhaps intrusion of personal privacy.
Right.
So that's something which I think is not good. So the government can do that, and they can ask any company, be it a Facebook or a Google or an Amazon or anybody, to give personal data of you and me, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, yeah.
So, and also this is coming at a time when there's a global discussion around data protection of citizens and, all of that happening. So it's coming at that time.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us with those insights, Sunny. That's all for today's episode of Editor's Take. For more news, views, and updates, stay logged on to moneycontrol.com. Thanks for watching.